start. Let's just see how this goes.
Okay, so here they come up to the line now. And it is Smith on pole, Collins alongside him, and Collins will be trying to get a run in the first corner. And here they go, down into turn one, and it is going to be Kenny Smith will take it in there, and it's Greg Thornton in the Chevron takes that fourth position. Aaron Burson slots into fifth. David Banks up there in sixth, and then we go back to Brett Willis, and right around the outside of him, Shane Windleburn and the Lola T400 through the up and over they go, heading down to, and I tell you what, Collins is on a mission, isn't he? He's on the outside there having a look at the Ken Smith. Now he's going for the up and over, coming through up to the drop down into the dipper. He's right alongside Ken, but there's a long way around there. Don't think he's going to do that. But this is where I think that car's got a bit of an advantage off this corner down that straight, you reckon?
Look for a move down the inside. Michael will know. He's got limited opportunities, but if the right gap appears at the right time, I think he'll go for it.
These two are having a good ding-dong battle here. This is Brett Willis and David Banks, the series sponsor, the SAS Auto Parts. Him and his wife Brenda have sponsored the series. And that group there in the previous race had a fantastic battle, and it looks like they're resuming it with who was that going around the outside there? That was Kevin Ingram making a pass around the outside of Tony Galbraith. So
one of the things that's different, JT, from I think I'm right in saying this, Howden can clarify it, but we've grown up in this new touchy-feely era now of giving racing room. Well, back in our day, when you were going into a turn, you made it quite bloody clear that there was no way he was going to pass you on the outside because you ran the guy out of road, and that was just the way it was. But now the new vernacular is you've got to give people racing room. So Kenny can't just come over and block more than once.
No.
So if he, you know, if Michael could get on his backside and engineer a pass, as I call it, then, you know, who knows? This is really what Michael Collins has come this weekend for.
You were saying yesterday, Howden, that the toughest guy the toughest racer you ran up against was Clay Regazzoni, and he was obviously a hard man to pass.
Yeah, well, Clay was, as people said, no, he took no prisoners. Delightful guy out of the car, put on a pair of horns when he got in it.
So, mind you, a lot of them are like that. I mean, we were talking earlier on about young Liam Lawson. You know, Liam outside the car, a 16-year-old, is the most polite, genteel young man you could ever wish to meet. And says, "Please, sir, thank you, sir, hello, sir." Put him in a car with a helmet on, and he turns into this absolute vicious little devil who's going to beat everybody up. But so anyway, back to what's going on track here, and
Kevin's got to the head of that little group by the look of it down, or that particular group, the Viceroy car. So he's got to trace down the Banks Magnum car.
Yeah. Oh, Greg Thornton's
problem for Greg here.
Greg's thrown it away, and that's on the exit to turn. It's surprising how many do that at that part of the track. It's they seem to come off that corner and unload it, and it gets really they light them up, and the next thing they're going backwards. Kenny Smith just set the fastest lap of the race with just trying to pick it a 1 minute. So nobody's gone on the 1 minute mark. Here we go down the outside. Collins having another look. He'll try for the.
He's trying to do that thing where you get yourself outside and make Kenny hold his inside line, but he's just not being able to get alongside.
No. Oh, here he had a look there, but.
Yeah, he didn't quite get it right coming off the corner because he had Kenny wrong-footed, and
he had to lift.
But he didn't get the traction out of it.
So, and. So Greg Thornton actually said after you were there, how because you were presenting the trophies, he said at Taupo, how does somebody so small make a car so big?
I think they call it putting your elbows out.
Yeah, that's what I've said. For a little guy, he's got huge elbows, and he certainly. How many? Oh, the back end of Greg's car looks very loose there off that turn, and Brett Willis is trying to have a crack at him now, and maybe Greg's got a tyre that's deflating or something, because he's had one spin, and it certainly looked a bit wriggly under brakes in there. Ken's just driving tight lines here, and
he wants 3 out of 3.
Yep, yeah, he's not going to give it away. Yeah, this time Ken.
Is this it?
Has he got it?
No,
no, not
can't quite do it.
So Kenny said to me earlier on, he said he knows he's faster through that corner.
Okay.
So I don't think he's particularly worried about it if the attack does come at that particular part. He said he's quicker than me from turn 2 back to Horstipper, but from that corner on, he's faster. So,
Oops.
oh, hello, what's going on here? We've missed it. We've lost to Ken Smith, have we?
I think Michael's going to win the race.
We have to. No, he's going slow.
We've lost.
One that's gone.
Michael Collins has got the problem.
He's the problem.
Yeah, so, Kenny's away.
Well, that's a great shame because we'd be robbed there of something that was.
So at the inside of turn 1.
Yes, it is. So
exit.
Hopefully they'll.
Mechanical issue.
Yeah. So here's Ken all by himself now, and.
His perfect record continues.
Yep. Well, he's won every single race in he won every one at Taupo, didn't he, Hal?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the 4th round, I think.
The other thing that's good about that, it's a well-groomed team, Barry Miller and the boys that have been with Kenny for years, but, you know, it takes more than you think to make a car finish consistently. You can't take it for granted. There's certain components that may or may not do every race, so to speak. But John Crawford's a fantastic engineer running the Motorsport Solutions Michael Collins car. But something's obviously brought about the stoppage.
Yeah. So there's, well, Greg Thornton putting his hand up there. What's that all about? There's nothing from, maybe he's got a pit signal. I can't see down a pit lane there. And he's certainly quick because he's managed to get back past Aaron Burson.
Really?
He's got himself back up. He's now up into 2nd position, of course, with the demise of Michael Collins.
Yeah, and he's Greg's pulling away quite quickly from Aaron, isn't he? So there must not be something too drastically wrong with his car.
It's a smart-looking car, that, eh?
Yeah, lovely car.
Yeah, they were
P24 is a great model.
Yeah.
Teddy Paulette and Peter Gethin ran those nice red VDS cars.
That's right.
Tony Dean ran the blue one, as we talked about earlier.
I think it's one of those. I think one of those cars is running in the Australian Formula 5000 Championship. Yes. One of the VDS cars. Yeah.
That's that, and a young driver with first and both names that start with the same initial. What's his name? Tony Trimmer or Paul Potts or someone. Fantastic.
I'm nearly as old as you. How am I supposed to remember? So, anyway, it's good scrap here going on between Burson and Willis. They're having a good ding-dong battle, these two, as they come down under the bridge. And
last year, John, there was 15 Kiwis took these cars, most of the cars today, and a good deal more, over to Laguna Seca for the 50th anniversary. And they had a ball, those guys. They were running on one of the legendary tracks of World Motorsport, Laguna Seca, and the famous corkscrew, a very fast downhill section, which bikes and cars have been photographed for years.
Actually, I think our co-commentator in the room here was probably at that meeting.
He was.
The meeting at Laguna Seca last year when the Kiwis went over.
Yeah, I went down the first weekend and talked to them all, and then I went back for the next weekend, and I went to their party, and had a good time.
And of course, you would have raced at Laguna Seca yourself a few times.
Unfortunately, not. No, I missed that in Can-Am. I got Riverside, which is now closed, but I never raced at Laguna. My wife raced there a lot, but I never did.
Okay. So, yeah, it's a track that people speak about in hushed tones, don't they?
Yeah, well, you know, since the infield has been built, it's actually a reasonable length now, and it's pretty fast up the hill. And as David says, with that famous corkscrew, very unusual corner. So, yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun to race on.
Yeah, and there we are, the replica of the La Valise Travel Lola T332 is cruising around all by itself. Kenny with, in fact, he's so far in front, it's almost next week. So, as mentioned, he has tried to buy his original car back, but the guy won't sell it to him. He lives in Adelaide or something like that. Doesn't race anymore. And he'd ideally love to have it back, but so this car was actually an ex-Danny Ongai's car that had lived in a museum for many years.
Right.
And of course, it has been retubbed now since Kenny's crash at Manfield. And the only time, and he was very lucky actually, because he's so small, so short. his legs weren't as far forward, and they weren't, but he still ended up walking around in a moon boot. I did actually make the comment to him that it's taken him 40 odd years to get the Lola limp. So,
I was sitting right in front of that accident.
were you? Okay.
Saw it, and that was my biggest fear at the time. He went into the wall and took Esther out as well. The pair of them were in the concrete wall, right on the start-finish line, and chaos. How no one else got involved in that. The track was nearly blocked, and you know, we were all. Barry went to Ken and just wanted to see him lift out of the car and walk, and he did, but in pain.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
So here we go now. We've got, that's it, almost, how many laps have we got on this one? It's showing as a...
2 laps to go.
Yep. 2 laps to go, that's right. And...
Calling it a 12-lap race, and it's fully scheduled.
So Michael Collins is out, Glenn Richards is out. There's Tony Roberts still out there and circulating around, and just in front of Peter Burson.
Yeah, I guess Peter's decided not to run the BRM for this, or was he saving it for the next race?
He was a bit. He said to me yesterday. He said he's achieved what he wanted to do to actually get it to run a race distance. Now he just needs to take it home and be able to fit in it. Because I mean, Peter is about 6'6", and he said the straps and the shoulders weren't right. He said he was pulling his head back. He couldn't see the gauges. He couldn't see the mirrors, and the roll bar is below his helmet.
Yeah, that's very noticeable.
So he wants to get all those things cured, and he really wants to bring it back out again. And of course, the other one, the 160, is it?
He's got a 201.
201, yeah. You've actually driven that car, haven't you?
I drove it too, for some filming is all. I didn't race it. I'd moved on from BRM by the time they did that.
Yeah, but so on that particular car there's got photos of you driving it, or were you just sitting in it with the helmet on?
I drove it for a film or something.
Did you?
Didn't
okay.
I? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I never raced it.
So,
JT, we are going to have yet another race without the infamous safety car interruption.
Hey, hang on, they've still got a few hundred yards to go.
Okay, here he comes. Yeah, right. Okay, he's coming up the hill now. I'm sure he can get there without any
one more lap.
Issue.
There's the flag.
Okay, checkered flag. But Kenny Smith takes it out, folks, and wins it very, very convincingly. And interestingly enough, he never got under the 1 minute mark the whole race. So you're right, David. The conditions were just not right for it.
It is
not
a little.
I was questioning you.
It is a little cool out there now.
Yeah. So.
And our man Greg finished second. But,
Greg Thornton, good to see Greg. He'd be happy about that. All the way from the UK, and he was telling me, he said he's invited Kenny up. He said, you can come up. He said, you can come into my garage. You can choose any car you wish to race and race it in any of our circuits in the UK. What a lovely gesture.
That's a great offer.
Yeah, so there is. Kenny he's just never really got into racing overseas. He did Singapore a bit, or Malaysia, didn't he?